Hey guys, so today we're going to be working on this 21-inch MPD mower with a Tecumseh 4.5 horsepower engine on it. Original owner, who I bought it from for $30, said he couldn't get it to start. He tried multiple times, he put a little bit of gas in it, and it just won't run, so he doesn't want it anymore, and he passed it on. Let's take a look at it and see what's going on with it. Okay, so first things first, let's check this air filter. Ooh, it's dirty. Yeah, look at that. It's really dirty. I mean, it's not so dirty that it should prevent the lawnmower from starting, but it's pretty bad. So next, we got to get the carburetor off. So I might as well leave this off, and we'll start pulling apart the rest of this and getting the carburetor off. But it looks like I have to take off the whole air intake and the exhaust to take the carburetor off the intake. To be fair, it's not too dissimilar from the Tecumseh motor on my John Deere snowblower that I have, where again, to take everything apart, I had to take off the air intake. Unfortunately, when I did, one of the bolts broke off on the air intake, and so I had to drill it out, retap the hole. But that's a different story for another day. Let's start working on this and get it apart. Okay, so I believe we've got two 11mm bolts here. Look a little rusty, but they actually don't look too bad, so I don't think I'll need any kind of penetrating fluid. There we go. Pretty sure that this... Oh, it's a high output, that's why. That's why it's completely hollow. It's high output, so it doesn't restrict the airflow at all. Okay, now we've just got these two Phillips screws here. Okay, one tube here. Take off. Oh, well, that was nice. This came off. Huh. Well, that made life a little bit easier. Let me just put it back at least so we don't lose it. There we go. I'm going to take off this spring, or this arm. There we go. Okay. Now we got to take the fuel line off. So I got my bottle here. Get my pliers. Put the bottle aside for a minute. It doesn't look like there's a clamp at all. It looks like it's missing. Like it had rusted and fallen off. So let's work this hose a bit loose. Don't want to break what's in there because it's plastic. I don't know if they make this carburetor anymore. There we go. That's not so bad. I'm going to end up losing that anyway. It smells like there's gasoline inside here. Oh, yep, there is. It's dripping out of the intake. There we go. Sorry about that. You missed it. I got it off. A little bit of gasoline on the deck. Let's make sure there's none inside the tank. Yeah, it seems like there was a little bit in the tank. I'm just going to lift the tank up to force more into the lowest part on the reservoir. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got some flow. So we'll let that drain out. Looks like fresh gas. He did say that he did put in some fresh gasoline. So that does look like it's fresh gasoline. I would have no problems putting this back inside this tank. That looks like it. So it looks like that's exactly what happened to the other clip. Look at that. Come on, focus. Focus. There. As you can see, it rotted and fell apart and came off. So I'll have to replace those, but the hoses still seem pretty flexible, so those I'll just reuse. I'll clean them up and reuse them. The only thing left to do, take the bowl off and clean up the rest of this carburetor, and then try out the mower and see how it runs. Okay, so we've got the carburetor here. I've cleaned it off as best as I can. So you'll be able to see it. A lot of the dirt's off it. There's some little patches left, but not too bad. So I just got to get these two screws out. And then take these two bolts and nuts off. So let's start with the screws. Alright, now let's take the intake pipe off. 3/8, 10 mil on here. There we go. I'm only using the tool to take it apart. I will not use that machine to put it back together. I'll use my ratchet. Go, there's the intake. Now the carburetor. Let's open the bowl. I don't think this one's that dirty, to be honest with you. Seeing the condition of the mower, I think they really more just wanted to get rid of the mower and weren't too interested in keeping it. I think they got something different, or they just no longer needed a mower anymore. So 1/2 inch. There we go, that was tight. Maybe I might be surprised. This is really gunky. Let's see. No, it's really clean. Go. Yeah, there's really not much in here. Just a little bit of gas, a little bit floating in there, but I don't think that there's anything here that would keep this mower from running. Let's take out the needle and seat and float. Back the needle. Actually, it looks pretty good, to be honest. So I think it's working, because I don't know, this looks really clean. Okay, so let's get that emulsion tube out. Oh, doesn't want to come out. She's really stuck in there. Let's see. So yeah, I think this carburetor is actually pretty clean, but I do have a new one on order anyway, because I needed to get a filter, and the air filter comes with a new carburetor, so it's going to come with a new primer bulb, a new emulsion tube, so it should work out okay. I think this one I can always keep in stock as a spare, just in case, you never know. Okay, so let me just clean the rest of this up and then reassemble it, and then the next time we'll have it back is at the lawnmower. So I'll speed through this and I'll see you shortly. So delivery came, I got my new carburetor, which means I also got the new filter. So here's the original carburetor, and I took out the primer bulb, which always ends up coming out in pieces. So I'm going to be putting a new one of those in. So here's the filter, nice and new and clean. And here's the new primer bulb. Let me get that quickly installed, and then we'll start comparing the two carburetors to see if this one can replace this one and this one can go as a spare. So let's get the primer bulb installed. So the first thing you want to do is you put the primer bulb in, and then it comes with this retaining clip. The retaining clip goes over it, and then you use a punch to knock it down. You can use a flat screwdriver and slowly knock it in, or the other option, you use a deep socket, you put it right over it, and you hammer it in. Let me quickly do that. So there's the new primer bulb. As you can see, the ring is pushed all the way down to hold it in place. So I'm just going to take off the mount for the air filter and start comparing the sizes of these carburetors. So there's one thing I'm noticing about these that I'm not too keen on. One, if you notice, this one inside, the emulsion tube's red, and I know that one's removable. Plus, the fuel inlet, it's a lot larger than the new one. As you can see, this one has a brass emulsion tube, which I know is non-removable. And the fuel inlet's a lot smaller. Now I know this is only a 4.5 horsepower engine, and I don't see why this wouldn't run it, but I'm almost tempted to leave the original on and try it with the original and just put this one as a backup, because I know it's brand new, but I kind of like the original Tecumseh carburetor as opposed to this copy. So let's get this back installed. I'll put this on and then we'll start to reassemble the lawnmower, and hopefully we'll be able to take it outside and give it a test. So in the meantime, let me just quickly clean this off, and I want to spray this down and clean off some of this old oil and grease and dirt that's collected. Might as well make it look a lot better too. Now that that side's all cleaned up, got this part reassembled. So let's start putting this back together. So first things first, let's get this tube out of the way. Okay, so that's for the spring. This one scoops over. He hooks it right here. There we go. This one, actually I'll hook that one up after we get the intake installed. So let's get the intake installed. Now we can get the spring installed. Now the intake tube. Then finally, the air filter and the air filter housing. Last but not least, the exhaust. Okay, so the only thing left is the fuel tank and the fuel line. And since the old clips were corroded, I've got my case of new ones, so I should be able to find the right size in here. So yeah, I think this one will do just fine. Okay, so first things first, let's install the fuel line at the bottom on the carburetor side. So just take the air filter and housing off again. Love my job so much I do it twice. Sorry you can't see this, unfortunately. I can't really get a camera, be able to see, and get a tool in there all at the same time. Okay, I have to go to the other side. I'm beginning to think that I should have put this on before I put the carburetor on. There we go, I got it. All right, now the fuel tank should be a lot easier. Now all that's left is to reinstall the air filter. Put the housing on. And there we go. It's back together. Now we need to put some gas in her and give it a test and see how it runs. So here we go, we're outside. The mower is ready to be tested. I gotta lubricate the wheels. As you can see, one of them is stuck, but in no way should that interfere with this mower being run. And if you saw in my short I posted yesterday, this mower actually has a valve stem in place of where the dipsticks tube is supposed to be. So I've already changed the oil, and if you notice, it does have the valve stem still there. But that's because I have nothing else right now to block the oil from shooting back out when I test it. I do have a valve stem I do have a dipstick end tube on order, so that when it does come in, I'll replace the valve stem with the proper dipstick and tube. But aside from that, she's ready to go. She's full of oil. I just have to reconnect the spark plug wire, put a little bit of gas in it, and give her a pull and see what happens. Now before I go any further, I've got the spark plug wire on, but there's one thing with this mower that's driving me nuts. And that is, whoever installed this handle put these on backwards. So let me change those out and put them the proper way. Put some gas in and test this mower. What's the matter, Kodak? You stunned? No. Stirring up the neighbors again. There. Much better. Alright, so let's get the gas cap open and get some fuel in it. prime it 3 times. Let's try it. I'm gonna let it run for a few minutes, let it warm up, then shut it down and try to cold start it. Or I should say try to warm start it. Well, it's been a couple minutes and she's been running, so I'm gonna try starting it without priming. Well, I think it's running pretty good. I'm just going to drain the fuel out. I did put an inline fuel filter on. So I'm just going to drain the fuel out, then I'm going to let the carburetor run dry. Okay, so that's all done. I'm just gonna let the carburetor run dry, and that'll be that. And that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.